Okay, hello everyone, it's me, Profesor again, and this time in this video I want to go ahead and say a few things about the PBS video set. Let me adjust the camera here so you guys can get a better look at me. Not that you really want to at this point in time in the semester. Probably sick of me already, but okay. Anyways, all joking aside, but yes, I want to go ahead and say a few things about the PBS video review assignment. And this is one of the assignments that it's not due until the toward the end of the semester. This thing is due on. Let me just grab the date here for you because I've got the worksheet already queued up here right in front of me on the monitor. So Thursday, December 11th. So that's going to put us 3 months from today because I'm recording it today on on September 11th. Of course, I comment a little bit about the 13th anniversary of that day in the announcements section. But yes, this is one of the final assignments that's due at the end of the semester. And what I'll do for you right now is a couple of things. First off, I'll go over some of the key parameters and the guidelines about the assignment. And again, you can review all of this stuff on the assignment worksheet. And then I'll show you a couple of video options that you can choose from on the PBS website. And I've got two sections there in the Blackboard menu about finding videos, choosing videos that you can use for the assignment. So let me go ahead and just quickly scroll back up to the top of the page here and talk a little bit more about what the assignment is all about. All right. Well, first off, the main thing about the assignment is that you've got two options to choose from in watching videos from the PBS American Experience series. This is an award-winning series that they've been doing for the better part of about over a quarter century. I think since 1986-87 was when PBS started this series. So what you have two options in terms of videos to choose from. Excuse me. You have two options. Your first option is to watch two medium-length programs and do a comparison or a contrast in terms of what the content is all about. What are the differences, the similarities between the two? That's option one. And then option two is to watch one singular video or series of videos about one of the American presidents, one of the 20th century presidents. And your choices of presidents to choose from, it's actually fairly extensive. It's not of course all the presidents, but some of the major presidents from the from the 20th century. We're talking about everybody from FDR, Harry Truman, Lyndon Johnson, Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, and finishing off with Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan too. So option two is to watch one of those programs and do your entire paper, your entire review about that singular president. Now, in terms of the choices, your options, with let's say with option one, you've got many to choose from. You've got stories about the Wild West. So if you're fascinated by characters like Annie Oakley, Billy the Kid, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and Jesse James, then there's some right off the bat you can check out. If you're interested in, say, the Civil Rights era, Freedom Riders is definitely a good one to look at. And also, too, the legendary athlete Jesse Owens. His story definitely fits into the context of civil rights. If you like technology, there's a Silicon Valley program for those of you who are fans of Apple, Google, Facebook, all of the technology with respect to computers. Then Silicon Valley is the one for you. Or if you have an interest in things such as commodities, life in the 1950s, there is a Tupperware. Or if you have an interest in, say, the early gay rights movement in the 1960s, in conjunction with what's happening with the wider expansion for civil rights with respect to African Americans, women's movement, Chicano movement, the Native American movement, then Stonewall Uprising, an event which took place in 1969, is definitely something that you might want to check out too. So all in all, in these programs, whether it's programs which are linked close together, such as if you want to do two on the Wild West, such as Annie Oakley or Billy the Kid, you can definitely compare and contrast the two personalities there in your paper. Or if you want to do something very widespread in terms of comparing life in the late 19th century with respect to life in the late 20th century, then you can do that by comparing Billy the Kid with the Silicon Valley one. And even though you might find that maybe the difference, there's too many differences, I think you can still find some similarities in that both programs underscore how technology was changing the country, but at different times. So for the U.S. in the 1880s, 1890s, a telegraph, railroads, newspapers, those things transformed the country. Likewise, with Silicon Valley, with the 1960s and more so the 1970s into the 1980s, those technologies rapidly changing the country too. So changing technologies happening a century apart, that's one thing you can explore if you do a comparison, if you decide to do, say, Billy the Kid versus versus the Silicon Valley one. So again, remember, if you're doing option one, you've got to choose two of videos I have on that list. Now the PBS American Experience series, they may be adding some new programs as the semester winds down. So if there are new programs being added, I'm going to put them in the section in Blackboard. It's too late for me to add them to the assignment worksheet, but if you do see something new on Blackboard that's not listed on the assignment worksheet, don't worry. You can still go ahead and do that. On the other hand too, some of the programs on the American Experience website may be expiring, so if that's the case, just double check on the section there on Blackboard to see which of the programs may be expiring, and if that's one you want to do, then definitely check it out before PBS takes it down from their website. And let's see what else I need to mention here. Okay. Before I talk a little bit about how to frame your paper, because I think there's a couple of differences that you need to be aware of. That is, if you're doing option one or option two, on the option two series, on the option two, one of the presidents, of course, is George H.W. Bush. He was the president between Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton. He was the president who authorized orchestrated the Gulf War, Desert Storm in 1991. But I need to issue this warning because I've seen this happen twice already in the past couple of years. I've seen individuals that choose George H.W. Bush, but what they do is they give you information about George W. Bush. It's two different presidents, everybody, and you got to keep that distinction in mind. George H.W. Bush is George Herbert Walker Bush. He was Reagan's vice president, and he served one term as president from 1989 to 1993 when Bill Clinton came in. After Bill Clinton, of course, was George W. Bush, George Walker Bush. He's the son. He served two terms until he left office in 2009. But what happened was I had two individuals who, I don't know if they copied information from Wikipedia or whatever source, and try to pass off George W. Bush as George H.W. Bush. I caught that immediately, and both those students undoubtedly got failing grades on their papers. I don't want to see the situation happen again, but if I see evidence that somebody from this class is passing off George W. Bush as George H.W. Bush, that paper will get a failing grade automatically, no ifs, ands, or buts, no exceptions. So I have to mention that because I thought when it happened once, maybe it was just a fluke, one-shot deal. But when it happened a second time, I knew I had to do something about this. So right now, and what I'm telling you right now about this is my way of, I guess you might say, being the tough cop, the bad cop, so to speak. I didn't want to do this, but because I've seen it happen twice, I've got to make a statement about it. So I don't want to see any evidence of that. And let's see what else I need to mention about that. So yeah, that's my, I guess, a tough guy warning with respect to that issue. One final thing before we take a look at some programs. When you're writing your paper, and again, I've got more guidelines, more parameters on the assignment worksheet, so just review that. When you're writing your paper, and this mostly for those of you who want to do option one, here's what I want you to do when you start your paper. Make sure your first paragraph is a presentation of what you're doing overall in your paper. In other words, don't just start your paper, or don't start your paper but with the first paragraph talking about your first video. So for example, if let's say Henry Ford is your first choice, and you talk about, well, Henry Ford he was from a farm in Dearborn, Michigan, blah blah blah. He went to Detroit when he was a young man. He got interested in the technology and this and that. No, don't do it that way. Make sure your first paragraph talks about both your topics, both your videos. Do a bit of a introductory comparison and contrast in terms of what you're going to try to prove in both your videos. Just give me a general sense in terms of who your topics are, what your videos are, what you're going to try to accomplish, what themes you're going to be looking out for, blah, 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 that type of thing. So make your opening paragraph a wider introduction about your entire paper. Talk about both your videos. Then in your second paragraph, then start talking about your first video. So if Ford is your first video, then definitely make your second paragraph a discussion about Mr. Ford and his early life and times. And then a little bit later, maybe by the time you get to your fourth or fifth paragraph, then start talking about your second video, whether it's Silicon Valley, Tupperware, Jesse Owens, or whatever else is your second choice. And then at the end of your paper, make your last paragraph an encapsulation about all your thoughts, all your ideas, what your main takeaways were with respect to both videos. So make your concluding paragraph strong and talk about many of the themes or aspects that you learned from both of the videos. So in other words, let's take the Henry Ford example again, and in your second video was about Jesse Owens. Don't make your last paragraph about Jesse Owens. Make sure that your last paragraph talks about both Ford and Owens. Talk about everything you learned in both those videos at the end. Basically, sum up all your thoughts, and also, if you can, please incorporate any ideas or thoughts or observations you picked up from the readings, from Who Built America, from the PowerPoint programs, and maybe anything else that we might have picked up or discussed in any of the town halls, or even maybe of the big three topics. So bring in anything else that you picked up from the class into your concluding paragraph, and try to tie everything into a neat little package, so to speak. So again, this is more for those of you who are doing option 1. Option 2, you've got a bit of an easier task in that you're only focusing in on one topic. So again, if you're doing option 2, you don't really have to worry too much about doing a comparison or contrast per se. But again, like with option 1, people, make sure that you've got a strong introductory paragraph, introduce your topic, and a strong concluding paragraph to wrap up everything that you learned about whichever president you decided to work on. And with that, I think that concludes talking about all the nuts and bolts, so to speak, about the assignment itself. Let's take a look at a couple of videos. Let's take a look at some of your options for the assignment. So let me get out of PDF here, and I've got the class queued up with the announcements. So let me tilt the camera over. You guys get a sort of a panorama of my office here. And we're now at Blackboard. Okay, and let the camera focus a bit. I'll adjust the monitor. Okay, and this part of the video won't take that long, so I think within about 4 or 5 minutes we'll wrap this portion up. And of course, let me adjust my chair. All right, here we go. Okay, everyone. All right, let's say you want to do option 1. So what you do is you go to the part of the Blackboard menu which says PBS Video Options, and these links are directly queued up to the PBS American Experience website. All right, here we go. Yeah, either my Time Warner connection is slow or my iMac is starting to show its age. Might be a combination of the two, actually. All right, here we go. We've got Annie, Oakley, Billy the Kid. I've got all these in alphabetical order, but what's interesting is that the early alphabetical ones seem to correlate perfectly with early 20th century, late 19th century history. So right off the bat, some of these first 4 videos pertain nicely to topics we looked at the start of the semester. So we got Custer's Last Stand, Freedom Riders, Henry Ford, the Panama Canal, which corresponds to of course, the World War I period, 1914. That's when the canal was opened, all the way down to Tupperware and the War of the Worlds, the infamous Halloween Eve event in 1938, when the legendary Orson Welles gave his radio address, in which people thought that the U.S. New Jersey was being invaded by Martians. What Welles did essentially paved the way for a lot of the horror stuff which became really popular in the 1940s and 1950s, especially in the context of the Cold War. So let's say you want to do War of the Worlds. So all you need to do is just click this, and it takes you directly to the to the PBS page. Okay, and let's wait for the thumbnail to open up, and we'll just run about a couple of about 30 seconds here. A lot of these frames for the PBS videos, they do have options for captioning, and there's also options. I think you can get transcripts too. Yeah, here we go. A program transcripts, a timeline. So definitely take advantage of the extra resources here. So if you need more historical context, or you want the actual printed words of the program, then just explore what's in here and take a look at that. Maybe print it out and have that with you as you're watching the video. So let's take a quick peek at War of the Worlds, and let's do a little bit of Mr. Wells. Okay, of course, get through the obligatory announcements here, or commercials.
Kennedy, what is your opinion of Mr. Wells' radio letter? Well, I certainly have an opinion. I think suits should be filed against him and the Columbia Broadcasting System for their wrongdoing. Wells' performance on the radio Sunday evening was a clear demonstration of his inhuman instincts and his fiendish joy in causing distress and suffering all over the country.
Okay, just a quick intro, and I believe this testimonial. I believe this is actually these are actually actors who are recounting actual statements from the newspapers, from the press accounts back in 1938 when Wells had his radio program. But again, I think this gentleman here, this actor, and the others here definitely do a pretty good job of demonstrating the palpable fear and tension that many Americans felt back in those days. And keep in mind, 1938 was, of course, during the time when Hitler was on the scene. World War I was just on the horizon, so tensions in Europe, tensions in Asia. The Japanese had gone into China. The Japanese were involved in the infamous rape of Nanjing, and so World War tensions, just like today, were definitely on the rise. And Wells tapped into that perfectly with his epic radio program. So that's War of the Worlds. That's one option you can use. So you can watch a War of the Worlds. Compare that to the Triangle Fire event, which happened in 1911. Surviving the Dust Bowl. This is one of the programs that's actually going to be expiring. So if you want to watch about the Great Depression, check this one out before November 16th. Silicon Valley, and all the other programs here too. So again, if you're doing option 1, watch 2 of these, and you're good to go. Now, if you want to do option 2 on the presidents, go to the link on the left with PBS presidents videos. So let's get to that. And here we go. So we've got George H.W. Bush, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, FDR, LBJ, finishing up with Harry Truman. So we've got these in alphabetical order. Let's say you want to check out Jimmy Carter, so we'll click Mr. Carter. And we'll just wait a couple seconds until this program opens up. Okay. And this one clocks in at about 2 hours and 40 minutes, so just a little over 2.5 hours. This is actually one of the shorter presidents ones. So if you want to, if you just want to focus in on Mr. Carter, and not watch anything which goes up to about 4 hours, then definitely this is one of your better options. But even though Jimmy Carter has reputation as being, I guess you could say, a fuddy-duddy, a dum-dum, there's an infamous story in which he was apparently attacked by a rabbit while he was fishing. And of course, The Simpsons poked fun at him in one hilarious episode many years ago. But Jimmy Carter was definitely a decent man, and ironically, it seemed that he's made more of a career of being a great ex-president than a president, and the program touches into that with his post-presidential career as well. So let's go take a quick peek.
Exclusive corporate funding for American Experience.
And of course, let's get through the Liberty Mutual commercial.
Funding for American Experience is made possible by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. The President's is made possible by the National Endowment for the Humanities. American Experience is also made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. I'll just run about 30 seconds. Okay. Oh, but before the program starts, let me quickly mention, I think there are some programs about Vietnam, new programs. So I'm going to check immediately. So if any sign of new programs on the website, I will add those, most likely to the option 1 choices within the next couple of days. Okay, here we go. All right, a bit of a long intro here.
I promised you 4 years ago that I would never lie to you, so I can't stay here tonight and say it doesn't hurt. About an hour ago, I called Governor Reagan in California, and I congratulated him for a fine victory. I look forward to working closely with him.
All his life, he believed that if you worked hard enough at it, understood the issues, mastered information, then you would come out first.
Okay, there we go. The program starts off obviously when he lost the election in 1980. It was a royal thumping, for lack of a better term, to Ronald Reagan in 1980. Okay. All right. Okay, and with that, you know something? I think that pretty much covers it. So again, here's one of your choices. So again, Mr. Carter. So again, for option 2, choose from one of these presidents here. Again, you don't have to do 2. You only do 2 if you're doing option 1. One of the assignment. And to wrap things up, let me just I got a guest here. So let me quickly show you. I'll show you Miss London. Let's see if. Okay, there she is. There's my girl. That's my 13-year-old Persian London. So she's, you might say, the diva of the bunch. So I'll let her say goodbye to everybody here. All right. Well, listen. On that note, everybody, that concludes the video. So I hope this information about the presidents helps. And again, any concerns or questions about anything, definitely let me know. But you got plenty of time to work on this. It's not due for another 3 months, but I figured, like with the majority of these nuts and bolts videos, I figured I'd get a lot of these out of the way before we get too far into the heart of the semester. Okay, well, that's it, everyone. Take care. Hope you guys are liking the class so far, and I'll be back again very soon with another video.